Hello, Taurus. Welcome to Dove and Serpent Tarot. My name is Paul. If Taurus is your sun, moon, or rising sign, this is your tarot card reading. Remember to hit the like button, leave a comment. Consider subscribing to the channel, especially if this reading resonates with you. These readings are totally free. If there is anything you would like me to pray over, or meditate upon, or send positive energy toward, please let me know. Now, this is a general reading, so try to be open and receptive to whatever may come through during our time together. I am merely the messenger, and I ask you to connect directly with each of these cards and use your own intuition to take you beyond the details that I provide. And remember, Taurus, that the most important part of any tarot reading is you. And right now, you're trying to grow something in your life, you know? I think you're somebody with a lot of patience. I think that you're very caring and very attentive. I feel as if you don't always like feel patient, you know? That sometimes you feel like you're making mistakes, right? Spirit's saying you're doing a great job, you know? That in our effort to cultivate ourselves or cultivate our life or another life, or raise pets, plants, or people, and build a business or build a life or build whatever, build a universe, we're going to make mistakes. Our energy is going to fluctuate. There will be ups and downs and twists and turns, right? We're not going to be perfect, you know, gardeners, landscapers of our life, right? We're not going to be perfect caretakers of the situation, of the project, or of the energy, or of the life, or of the, you know, the reality, whatever it is for you. So I think that you're striving to be as patient as possible and to pay attention to the details and to be very conscientious. I think sometimes you get frustrated with yourself, like that sometimes you don't feel patient. Sometimes you feel like you're not really paying close enough attention, right? Feels like you're being a little bit hard on yourself right now, okay? Let's put this card into a little bit of context, all right? I keep moving things around on my desk, and then I end up bumping into them. I should just keep things where they are and let my body get used to it. Let's keep building on this card, okay? We have the 5. There's the frustration, okay? There's the sort of wrestling with this. Am I doing enough? Am I being attentive enough? Am I paying enough attention to something? Maybe this is about a relationship. Maybe this is us worrying that we're not paying enough attention to the other person, or that we're not doing everything just exactly right for our kids, or for our business, or for our pets. So I kind of feel that 5 of Wands is you like beating yourself up a little bit. I think we got to go easy, all right? We have a 10 of Pentacles. You're a perfectionist, aren't you? We have the Death card. We have the Princess of Swords. I love that. I love the Princess of Swords because it means that we're giving ourselves permission to fail sometimes. Giving ourselves permission to not be perfect. Okay. And we have the Ace of Cups. I think this is going to improve your experience of this situation. You're going to have a lot more fun doing it. I think this is also kind of like in your heart, you know that everything is going forward the way it's supposed to. Okay, here we have the Princess of Pentacles. We have the 10 of Wands. We have a Queen of Wands. We have the Lover's card. The Lover's card to me kind of feels like, it feels like your commitment and your devotion. Okay, I think that you're fulfilling your destiny. I think your destiny is to be here doing this thing. And because this is your destiny, it's kind of like you're allowed to be human, you know? Someone who's on their path, fulfilling their destiny, doing their holy task in life, right? Whatever it might be, doesn't have to feel, or shouldn't anyway, shouldn't have to feel like they've got to be, I've got to be perfect all the time, you know? Other people are watching, or like this is in service to somebody else, or in service to something higher than me, and I've got to be flawless. I've got to be perfect all the time. No, We're following our destiny. We're being who we are. We're trying to fulfill our mission here in this material realm. And we're doing the friggin' best we can, right? And that's all we can do. So I think you have really, really good energy here. Now let's select the mystery card, bonus card, confirmation card. This is a random card from the Smith-Waite Tarot. This is the factor infinite and unknown. We're going to set it over here with our little sea turtle friend right on top. We're not going to look at that card until the very end, but it will tie everything together and it will give us the confirmation that we need at the end of the reading. If at any point during this message you feel like you might know what that card could be, put your prediction in the comments down below. All right, let's use our intuition. Spirit saying something about Japan. You have a connection with Japan. You live there for a while, or you speak the language, or you're involved in the culture or that area in some way. Yeah, one of my favorite sort of parts of the world as well. Anyway, looking around the room, we've got 1, 2 major arcana energies, and I feel that this really is, it's kind of it's a transformation that's begun for you, and there's now a kind of this frustration that feels like we're not making the progress we should be making. So I feel like we are that perfectionist, and we're kind of thinking like, I'm not doing the best job that I should be doing. And so we're holding ourselves to such a high standard right now, it's impossible to fulfill that, and I think it really is taking away some of the joy and the beauty of this path for you. Okay? So the Death card is kind of saying like things are moving ahead as they should be. We don't want to interrupt the growth by being frustrated, by having this kind of, by being hard on ourselves. That's affecting our performance anyway. So it's kind of like it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. I feel like I'm doing a bad job, and that feeling is going to lead to me, well, doing a bad job. And so we kind of want to ease up on that a little bit, it seems like. Okay, we've got fire energy, we've got water, a little bit of air, we got some really, really good earth cards. You have all these wonderful cards, except we've got that 5 of wands, which is kind of the struggle a bit. Maybe also we're struggling with a little bit of the routine and just the kind of the daily grind of something. Maybe this is like, maybe it's your own business, but you're feeling a little bit just kind of worn out from just the same thing every day. Like we're kind of looking for novelty, maybe. We're looking for something kind of new, right? Because this is, the 8 of Pentacles, this is the card of, again, patience, paying attention to details, cultivating something, nurturing something, making sure something has enough sunlight, soil, water, right, and a lot of love that can help it grow, right? But if we have this bad vibe or this really frustrated kind of energy, we're not really giving the thing the love that it needs. And so it's not going to grow. And then it doesn't grow, and then we feel more frustrated. And that frustration makes it grow even less, right? So it's that kind of vicious circle. But the 8 of Pentacles is also a card of routine and refinement, that it kind of feels like every day is the same. It feels like if this is your destiny, right? We think this destiny is supposed to be just magical and mystical and beautiful all the time, and I'm supposed to feel enthusiastic and enraptured and ecstatic at every moment, right? No. 99% of any destiny or any spiritual work even is just routine. The routine, the day-to-day routine, is just the drop in the bucket that eventually is going to fill the ocean. Yeah. And so I think that we're sort of dealing with that kind of a frustration, that sort of a realization that really in anything worthwhile, there's a point where we just get into the sheer habit and sheer routine of it. Okay? Now, Spirit's saying something about a UFO, or I don't know what they call them now, but you've seen some kind of aerial phenomena or something like that in your life. I think like you have a story about that. I don't know if you're for sure like that was an alien, but there was something weird you saw, some lights in the sky, a while back ago. I think it was like when you were younger. Yeah. I don't know why that's coming through, why Spirit's referencing that, but in anything that's worthwhile, there will be a period where we realize that the majority of this path is just me doing the daily grind over and over and over again. It's like the only difference between working for yourself and working for somebody else, the only difference is that you've got way more responsibilities when you're the business owner. You know, I work harder now that I have my own business, the YouTube channel. This is my livelihood, right? I don't have a day job anymore. I quit my day job, that's almost like 2 years ago now. And so this is my job. This is my business, right? This is our family business. And I work so much harder now. Don't tell my previous employer. I work so much harder now than I ever did working for somebody else. There's so much more responsibility. There's so much more riding on it, you know? But it really is just kind of like it's not even a 9 to 5. It's like a 6 a.m. to like a 10 p.m. kind of thing now. And so my hours have grown. I'm working so much more out, so many more hours and so much harder now than I ever have my entire life. And so things don't get easier, you know, but they do get better. And so the responsibility that you have now, it feels almost frustrating because, well, it would have just been easier to just not do my destiny then. You know, if it's not all fun and games and it's not all just warm hugs and celebrations and VIP rooms or whatever, like, why would I do it, you know? And I think that's part of, you know, having a vocation, having a calling, feeling like this is something I'm destined to do. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. We're willing to go through the monotony of it. It kind of feels like a Groundhog's Day kind of thing where we just have to repeat the same day over and over again. And each day just trying to do it a little bit better than yesterday. And that seems to sum it up. The difference is, of course, with our 10 of Wands over here, the difference is all the responsibilities on your shoulders. That you're taking all the praise and all the blame, right? But I feel instead of you taking all the praise and blame now, what you're doing is you're sort of giving it up to spirit. I feel like it's kind of a karma yoga thing where we're trying not to internalize the ups and downs, the twists and turns of things. We're trying not to internalize or identify or cling to, attach ourselves to the wins or the losses, the flattery or the criticism, the praise or the blame, right? And because I can take all the credit, but when something goes wrong, I'm going to give that up to spirit, right? I think that's what a lot of us do. You know, when things are going well and I'm succeeding, I think that's all me. When things are bad and things are tanking, I think, well, it's somebody else was causing it. It's somebody else that can take that responsibility. I feel like you are sort of owning all of it, you know. But we have the 10 of Pentacles underneath the surface, and I feel like you're a perfectionist. I feel like you like to do things to the best of your ability, and if you don't, we tend to get frustrated. Yeah. I think that you know your path, you know your destiny, you know what kind of future you want, you know what your best life is going to look like. And I feel that as we are building and growing and cultivating this life and fulfilling our destiny, we go through these periods of intense frustration, especially when things don't always happen exactly how we want them to, or we don't perform as well as we could have. We sort of get done with something and we think, that was terrible, I could have done better, you know. I feel like you hold yourself to a very high standard. Yeah. But what we see with the Princess of Swords is this idea of always being the student. You know, this is someone who's at white belt. This is someone who's still curious, still thirsty, still trying to learn and get experience. And to me, one of the key components of being the white belt again, or finding ourselves in the position of the student, I'm learning and I'm still growing and I'm still kind of, you know, developing myself, is that we give ourselves permission to fail. We give ourselves permission to not be perfect. You know, that we may be always, you're perfection. You're going to strive for perfection. No one can change that about you. Okay, so that's really an important thing. Don't think this is a bad thing. You're a perfectionist. Everybody says that like in a negative kind of, with negative connotations, but it's not. You want to be impeccable. You want to do things to the very best of your ability. I think what we're trying to distinguish is between like the perfectionism, the cliche of perfectionism, everything has to be just so, everything has to be exactly right, versus the idea of excellence and impeccability. I'm going to do the very best that I can. Nothing is ever going to be exactly perfect, but I'm going to do my absolute very best, which sometimes is understanding when to say, I'm done, I'm not going to mess with it anymore. You know, the finishing touch, it's not perfect, but that's the very best that it will be. If I put more effort into it, it's going to have the diminishing returns, right? So that could be part of our Five of Wands as well, that something is growing along quite nicely, but because it's not absolutely perfect, or in an attempt to make it absolutely perfect, we keep tinkering with it. We keep interfering with it. We keep sort of manipulating it, moving it around and adding more and taking more off and putting more on and changing this and changing that. Eventually the quality is going to reach a crescendo, and then the more we mess with it, the quality is going to go down, 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 down. So Spirit's saying, know when you're at the peak of that quality and just say, enough is enough. It's perfect the way it is. It's not flawless, it's not literally perfect, but it is excellent the way it is, and it can't get any better. If I tinker with it anymore, it's going to go downhill. Okay, so that's part of it. But the Princess of Swords is the, understanding that when you're at white belt, you're not expected to know all the answers. You don't go into the karate studio or the dojo and you're going to finally sign up for classes or jujitsu classes and everybody expects you to be a master already. No, I'm a white belt. I've never stepped foot on a mat before. I don't know what the heck I'm doing. What do you know what I mean? Like, no one's going to hold you to that perfect 10 expectation. Even when you are, the black belt or whatever's beyond black belt, the Technicolor belt, the belt of many colors. Even when you're a black belt and beyond, no one's going to hold you to that idea of perfection, that you have to be absolutely flawless at all times. But especially, wherever else you are on the path, the beginning, the middle, or towards the end, no one expects you to be perfect. I think this is something that we hold on ourselves, and we have that ideal for ourselves, yeah. Which again is a very good thing. But let's not let it interfere with the quality of our work. Does that make sense? Spirit's referencing someone with the letter R in their name, first initial or last initial letter R. Okay. Okay. So I think the Ace of Cups is going to be some validation. Okay. I think that this is really this is you honoring and loving the work that you're doing for its own sake without the attachment to the perfection. This is kind of like the equating work with worth. That if things aren't perfect, I don't feel good. I don't feel love. I feel frustrated. I don't feel happy, right? I think that we're working on this. We're understanding that we can strive toward an ideal. We can strive toward perfection, knowing that perfection is an unattainable ideal, but we work toward it anyway. It's like a goalpost that keeps moving a little bit further back, right? And also realizing that our value comes from who we are, not what we do. Okay, I mean, it comes from our behaviors and things, of course, right? Our value is reflected in the way we treat people, for sure, and the way we behave in life. But your value is not, your worth is not your work. It's not what you produce, though. You know what I mean? It's who you are. And who you are is reflected in how you work. It's not about what you're doing or how perfect it is, but how you do it. You do it with attention. You do it with grace. You do it with love. You do it with devotion. So I think the validation for you is coming, and that's the ability then for you to appreciate who you are and what you're doing for its own sake, and not just about the finished product or what the sort of long term is. The Death card in the background here. This to me feels like a transformation process that was started a long time ago. Something happened in your life a long time ago that set you off on a particular path. I feel like that journey is coming back. Maybe separate from the physical work that you do, whatever you're sort of burning calories doing, whatever your project is or whatever. This is some kind of a spiritual evolution or a karmic thing that was started a long time ago and now is meant to be resolved now. We could be talking past lives here. Okay? I feel like you were some kind of a craftsman in a past life. I don't know, pottery or shoes or blankets or, bamboo mats or something like this. But some kind of a crafts person. I feel like there's some kind of a karmic thing or some kind of an aspect of your destiny that was started a long time ago, not resolved. Now it's coming back into play now because it needs to be resolved now. And it has to do in some way with our feeling the worth and our perfectionism in the work. Okay. All right. Path of the Serpent. We're going to start over here with the Princess of Pentacles as your general energy. Now, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do. These readings are totally free. They don't cost anything. Okay. The Princess of Pentacles is, it's kind of how, to me, this feels like it's our persona. It's how other people might perceive us. To me, this kind of feels, this feels like the way we present ourselves to the world. Okay. And to me, this is kind of indicating that our general energy, or the way that we project our energy or present ourselves, is that we are a kind of a steady force. We're like a resource, maybe. Okay, and again, that's kind of ties in with this idea of perfection, that we want other people to know our worth so that they keep us around. Does that make sense? The way you might in your job, you might subtly let your boss know that you're a really capable person, you know a lot of things, and you have all this value to the company so that they'll keep you around when the layoffs happen. So this is us kind of, feeling as if we want the world to see us as a valuable asset, that we want to be worthwhile for other people. Okay? And again, this is a very good thing. It's that perfectionism, but it does betray some kind of a feeling of self-worth here, some kind of a validation or a feeling of self-worth that we need to embrace going forward, and realize that we are valuable, that we are love, and we are deserving of love, regardless of what we can do for other people. I feel like you're someone who's always trying to help other people. You want to be seen as a valuable asset. Yeah. And maybe this is even in friends or in family situations where we want people to acknowledge us by saying, oh, you know what, I can do that, I can fix that, let me help with that, or I'll go ahead and take care of that kind of thing. Because then we feel like people will be like, oh, that Taurus, they're very helpful. Let's keep them around more often, right? But that sort of sets us up for being used by people, taken for granted. And it also is affecting our sense of self-worth when we are of service to other people, and for that reason, and they don't acknowledge it or they don't offer something in return to us, then we feel a diminishment of that value and of that worth. Okay? So you have to be careful with this card. It's great to be of service. It's great to be a resource. I feel like you got like this MacGyver energy. I feel like what is that old cartoon? Captain Caveman. Do you remember that cartoon? I don't know if they still show it or if they're still allowed to show it. But could pull anything out of its beard. It was this caveman with a really long beard. And anything that he might have needed or his friends might have needed, any kind of tool or any kind of resource, he would just reach into his beard and pull it out. Right? And it's hilarious. It's back in like the 80s. So it kind of shows how old I am. But that kind of feels like what you're able to do. You're a very handy person, And again, I feel that craftsman kind of energy for you in a big way. Yeah. In the position of the environment, your 10 of Wands, this is kind of the same type of energy, because this is like, we're taking on a lot of the responsibilities for things. And so I find that you're probably somebody that takes on a lot of work, takes on a lot of extra duties. I feel like you're piling things on your own shoulders, and then we're kind of getting frustrated by that. And we're kind of like feeling, gosh, there's so much pressure on me from all these relationships. Now all these relationships are asking me to do things. All these other people are asking me for things, asking for my service, relying on me for things. And so you're starting to really feel the pressure. But it's kind of like we sort of added to some of that a little bit, especially when we take the 10 of Wands with the 10 of Pentacles. Because this is then, we have this perfectionism that we're feeling, that we're putting, this is something coming from your unconscious sort of, but then it's projected out into the environment. These two positions of the Dove and Serpent spread are very, very, very intimately connected, okay? This is sort of the unconscious contents being projected into the environment. So we're kind of projecting some of this perfectionism on outside, and we're kind of thinking, gosh, everybody expects me to like always be on point, always be flawless. Like I'm not allowed to make any mistakes, you know? Everybody has these high expectations and these intense demands on me, and it's getting to be too much. I think that's kind of that's a mirror, that's a reflection, that's a shadow kind of thing where it's revealing to us that we're putting too much pressure on ourselves. Okay? Regardless of what other people expect you to do, we need to do something about that sort of internal valuation and not put that much pressure on ourselves. Give ourselves permission to fail, even if it feels like people around you are not giving you any room to make mistakes. We've got to take responsibility for that, as we talked about over here. Okay? So the Ten of Wands in that position of your relationships, I feel that you have the opportunity right now to really form good, equal kind of partnerships with people. You know, that your life doesn't have to be one-sided, where somebody else is expecting you to do all the work, and it feels like an intense responsibility, and it feels like they have these high expectations. I feel like there's an opportunity right now, maybe through some communication, that you can develop a more equal 50-50 kind of thing. This, to me, feels like two against the world. But we very often feel like there's some imbalance in that. You know, like if you have a partner, I don't know, a spiritual partner or a life partner or a best friend or a business partner, it should be pretty equal division of duties, right? Not going to be exact. We're not going to do the same tasks. But we should both feel like we've got enough responsibility and it's pretty fair. Right? It's pretty fair. You have the opportunity right now to create that. Because right now it feels like all the weight is on your shoulders, and that does not feel fair. So even in the partnerships, it feels like one person is doing 0, you're doing 100%. We need to even that out a little bit, or maybe recognize that that's something that we're choosing to believe, even if unconsciously, through this kind of perfectionism and the self-valuation. Yeah. But what we don't want is the Queen of Wands here. And that is, we don't want to keep burning the candle at both ends. Okay, that's really the energy we're trying to avoid. The water and the fire do not get along here. The Queen of Wands does not like any water energy. Whether it's an ace or a 10 of cups, doesn't like it because it puts out the fire, right? And so this is somebody who is putting all this pressure on themselves and is, here you are doing perfectly wonderful work, building whatever this is in your life, building yourself, building your future, fulfilling your destiny, following your path, right? And you are sort of beating yourself up that you're not doing enough. And so then we're kind of like pushing ourselves too hard. Pushing ourselves, again, burning the candle at both ends. And this is what we want to avoid. Okay? So we need a bit more balance. We need to give ourselves a little bit of slack, a little bit of a break here. Spirit's referencing a favorite dog. I don't know whose dog it is, but I feel like you should spend time with it. Yeah? I feel like we need to just sort of, because the dog is kind of like it's a human's best friend. Right? The dog will love us no matter what. Not because of what I do for it. Cats, on the other hand, cats will love you depending on what you do for them. But dogs, right? The older I get, the more I'm turning into a dog person. We don't have a dog yet, but fingers crossed. A dog will love you no matter what. It doesn't matter what you can do for the dog, how you were able to give it better food, more food, or even if no matter what. Even when you're at your lowest, even when you're not feeling like playing with the dog's going to come and love you no matter what. The cats feel like they need something from you all the time, right? So maybe that's part of the reference. But we definitely don't want to become the Queen of Wands here, because this is then somebody who is just simply burning themselves out, doing the work, a candle that just keeps on burning, 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 burning. Why would you use your emergency candles when you've got a rechargeable flashlight, or when you have some other room lights you could use? It seems like it's kind of mismanagement of resources in a way. And if we feel like we're the resource, here we are getting angrier and angry or because we feel like there are too many demands on us that we can't possibly burn bright enough to fulfill all these responsibilities, and we're going to end up burning out. Okay? So we want to avoid that. Your destiny is this Lover's card. Your destiny, I think, is one, the equal partnership. So maybe you're dealing with a significant other that's not pulling enough weight, or that's how we are seeing it. And maybe it's just a matter of like, looking at it a little bit more, not closely, but from a little bit more of a distance, and maybe having a conversation and addressing that. But I think it is about this karmic thing that we're dealing with. But this is also the card that says you're fulfilling your destiny. You're living that life. That you are, you're developing that union between yourself, your ego, and your true self. That you're integrating your forces, that you are unifying your soul right now. You're doing the exact right kind of work. You're doing everything wonderfully. And that's kind of like, that's one of these age-old kind of chuckles, Somebody is doing perfectly good work, but yet they're doubting their own efficacy. They're doubting their own worth and their own value. Okay? So I feel like it really is a recognition that we are, that we're on the path and we're doing everything the way we should be. Yeah. This is a card of union. This is the card of coming together, not the card of separation. This is about strengthening our relationships, choosing the relationship, choosing the family, choosing the work over anything else. Okay? And I think in order to do that, we have to then, doing our work, right, fulfilling our destiny, requires that there's a corresponding inner work. You can't follow your external human destiny without also doing the spiritual destiny and figuring out what's going on inside and how to untie these knots of karma and clear out some blockages that are taking place in us. The external work requires the internal work and vice versa. Okay. Let's look at the mystery card. Yeah. So I do feel that there's a, maybe it's that R-name person that I'm feeling, but I kind of think the partnership that we're not feeling is all that fair at the moment, or all that balanced. And so the Lover's card might be like, look, this can be balanced. We have to look at it in a new way and work on unifying and balancing out and harmonizing this relationship, and not just kind of, I don't know, with the Queen of Wands, kind of feel like this is somebody who's not speaking up. This is somebody that's just like gritting their teeth and bearing it through, biting the bullet kind of thing, rather than opening up and sort of validating the feelings and validating ourselves and knowing our worth, feeling our worth, and having the ability to communicate that and sort of harmonize the relationship. This is somebody that's just going to stay quiet and just suffer through it until something breaks down, until we burn out. Yeah. So the mystery card here, I would like to see some more water energy. Obviously a 3 of Cups, a 2 of Cups, a 6 of Cups, a 9 of Cups. Any of the good water energy would be great. If you have a prediction, put it in the comments. Let's see what we have. It's the 7 of Wands. More of this fire energy. This is the card of, to me, this is kind of a card of futility. Even though this is technically a card called Valor. Now we've got the Valor that I'm going to stay silent and I'm going to fight until I just can't fight anymore, even though I know it's a losing battle. That's sort of the motto of the Queen of Wands in this case, right? And it's rather than speaking up, rather than doing anything else, am I just going to suffer through it and just fight the good fight until I'm laid low, until I take the eternal dirt nap? No, I don't think we're going to do that. This is kind of like, it's not smart. We're just banging our head against the wall, and obviously the wall's going to win at some point, right? So I think this card's letting us know, like, sometimes we got to just like put our tools and weapons down, and we just have to kind of, to try to find a different approach here, okay? Because I think that we are getting a little frustrated with the way things are going, and we're not valuing ourselves perhaps enough. There is this feeling of perfectionism, and there is this sort of long-term karmic thing that's going on with you. Yeah. Maybe a Scorpio person, getting the R initial. I think that we're realizing that we deserve to enjoy the path, that we have to feel our own value and our own worth. Okay? It's not something that we just need to accept and sort of go down with the ship, you know. So anyway, let's do an extended reading, yeah? We're going to do an I Ching hexagram. We're going to do some oracle cards. There is a link in the corner. There's a link down below in the video description. New readings for Taurus, Mondays and Fridays. Be sure to watch both readings. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. The readings are totally free. Leave a comment and let me know where in the world you're watching from. I want you to know that you're the most important part of Dove and Serpent Tarot. I thank you and I love you. And we're all in this together.